My kid got into a fight in kindergarten, and it turns out the other parent is my ex-boyfriend. He's just as quick to taunt as his mom. I shot back. Inherited from his dad. I couldn't resist. Tom's face turned a shade of blue. I reassured him, relax, I'm not talking about you. Tom's face turned even bluer. When I got the call from the teacher, I hurried to the kindergarten. It's only my kid's third day at this new school, and he's already causing trouble. And he hit a girl. This kid is really testing my patience. As soon as I entered the office, I saw my kid standing there, looking like he was ready to be martyred. I quickly apologized, I'm so sorry. Ken messed up again. The man standing by the desk suddenly looked up. That handsome face stopped me in my tracks, mind going blank. Tom. I never imagined that this is how I'd run into Tom again, in such a setting. It's been years, and the boy I remembered had turned into a mature and composed man. And he was cradling a little girl. The little girl looked like she'd been crying, eyes and nose all red, leaning sadly on his shoulder. My heart skipped a beat. Is that his daughter? Ken's mom, you're finally here. The teacher's voice brought me back to my senses. Earlier, Ken shoved Lucy, and no matter what we said, he wouldn't apologize. You see, this is. She looked troubled. Conflicts like these are what teachers dread the most in kindergartens. All the kids are precious to their parents, and sorting out fights can be a real headache for them. No wonder they called both sets of parents in to mediate. I apologized repeatedly, I'm sorry. Ken was in the wrong, and I'll make sure he learns from this. I turned to my kid and asked sternly. Ken, how does mom always teach you? You don't bully classmates, especially girls. You're a boy, you should protect girls, not push them. Ken pouted and turned away. She wanted to drink from my water bottle. Mommy gave it to me as a special gift, how could I let her use it? His raised voice seemed to alert Tom's little girl, making her cry again. A chilly, calm voice suddenly murmured, just like her mom, fierce. After years apart, is this really how you want our reunion to go? Anger flared in my chest, and I fought back. He got it from his dad. Tom's face turned blue. The room's atmosphere thickened. The teacher gave us a surprised glance. I realized my tone was too harsh. The teacher called us to mediate, not to argue. Especially since it was mostly Ken's fault. I paused and offered a smile. Don't worry, I wasn't talking about you. Tom's face got even bluer. Nothing pleases this guy, he's still so hard to deal with. But since Ken started it, I had to eat humble pie too. I pressed Ken's shoulder. No matter what, you can't push someone. Apologize. He sulked for a bit, but eventually mumbled, sorry. The little girl looked up, lashes still wet, and whispered, it's okay. I heaved a sigh of relief. If this could end peacefully, it'd be the best. I noticed her eyes still lingered on Ken's water bottle. Lucy, do you like Ken's bottle? She sniffled and nodded, it's pretty. Ken's got a green dino on his bottle that I painted for him, a custom design. Seems her little friend's got quite a taste. How about Andy gets you one just like it tomorrow? Her eyes lit up, then hesitantly shook her head, but Daddy said not to take other people's things. It's just a bottle. I immediately said. Ken made you cry, so let the bottle be our peace offering, alright? You take the bottle, and it means you still want to be Ken's friend. She looked up at Tom with hopeful eyes. Tom nodded subtly. Her face broke into a smile. Thank you, Auntie. Kids sure get happy and forget fast. Before I knew it, Ken and Lucy were back to playing like nothing happened. Tom and I walked out of the office one ahead of the other. Didn't know you're so good with kids now. His calm voice floated from behind. Didn't sound much like a compliment. I looked him over, not bad. Not like some who've probably been too busy at work, not having time for kids. Tom and I were college buddies. He was a med student, me, a language major. He was the perfect campus boyfriend, wealthy background, excelled in academics, and ridiculously good-looking. Even his daughter inherited the charm. Your daughter doesn't look much like you. I glanced at the little girl again. She's cuter. Way softer and fluffier than Tom's aloof, distant vibe. Tom pocketed a hand, nodded faintly. Takes after her mom. I'd probably lost my mind to have said that. Something clogged in my chest, neither swallowed nor spat out. I rushed home with Ken, but I couldn't shake the feeling. Images from the day replaying in my mind, I messaged my friend Candy, bet his wife is really pretty. Candy, have you forgotten you dumped him first? Yep, I was the one who called it quits. Everyone knew how Molly from the language department chased Tom from med school for a whole year. Tom was quiet, reserved, while I was bold, unrestrained, flaunting our love to the skies. Shame, for every moment I flaunted, the breakup was equally disastrous. Candy cursed in her text. Tom traveled 1,000 miles in winter, waited outside your house all night. You wouldn't even see him once. If we're talking sad, he's got it worse than you. True enough. Having a heartless ex-girlfriend like me must really suck. It's all in the past, why bring him up? Weren't you the one who mentioned him first? Mom. My darling son appeared at the door, clutching a pillow, looking all hopeful. I want to sleep with you tonight, he said. I reminded him, Ken, you're a big 4-year-old boy now. Why do you still want to sleep with Mom, huh? He pleaded softly, just this once, please, Mom. I hung up the phone, stating the facts. You said the same thing yesterday and the day before. He lowered his head, pouted, I'm still not used to the new preschool. Ah, the universal excuse. I took the opportunity to negotiate with him, then promise me, you won't get into fights with other kids at school, okay? His eyes lit up. Knowing I was agreeing, he rushed over. Got it. He placed his little pillow down and, after a moment of courage, said, Mom, I miss Dad. My heart skipped a beat. He fidgeted with his little hands, whispered, all the kids at preschool have dads. I want one too. Lucy asked what my dad does, and I. So that's it. The water bottle was just an excuse. This was what really made him feel sad and embarrassed. I patted his head, didn't I tell you before? Dad's on a long business trip far away. Only by earning money can he get you those dinosaurs. He looked up, then I don't want dinosaurs. I want Dad, okay? I said, then I'll just give your dinosaur water bottle to Lucy, huh? He huffed, then I'll trade for Lucy's dad. I started counting, 1, 2. My darling son immediately lay down, eyes shut, Mom, I'm already asleep. The next day, I handed him the newly illustrated water bottle to give to Lucy at preschool. But when I went to pick him up in the afternoon, guess who I ran into again? Tom. Seeing him standing confidently by the door, I was at a loss for words. Aren't doctors supposed to be busy? How can he pick up his kid every day? I planned to pretend I didn't see him, but my darling son and Lucy walked out hand in hand, first in line. He waved enthusiastically, Mom. I'm here. Tom glanced over slightly. I reluctantly approached, searching for words. What a coincidence, seeing you again. He nodded at the water bottle hanging around Lucy's neck. Did you paint that? It took me a second to realize what he meant. Yep. I even made sure to paint the dinosaur pink. Tom nodded. After all these years, you haven't improved much in drawing. What did he mean by that? Seriously, what did he mean? I was raging on the phone to Candy, me. Molly. A wildly popular comic artist. And he says I haven't improved. Is he blind or something? Candy, no. Me, exactly. Candy, otherwise, he wouldn't have been into you back then. Me, whose side are you on anyway? After graduating college, I switched jobs a few times, eventually landing in a comic artist job that was nowhere near related to my major. I've loved drawing since I was a kid, and during college, I started taking on small illustration gigs online. Then my webcomic unexpectedly blew up, leading to a signing and becoming a full-time comic artist. Candy sighed, but wasn't it fate, though? You guys had such a nasty breakup, I thought you'd never cross paths again. And now your kids go to the same preschool. Right? And now it's not like I can ignore it. Annoyingly, I wouldn't have chosen this preschool if I knew. With many options back then, I ended up picking this one because it was great all around. Who would have guessed? But transferring my son now would be unfair, can't just move him because of this. Speaking of, Tom is a real family guy, huh? Candy asked, Molly, do you really not regret it? I rolled my eyes, hung up, and opened my drawing board. A guy who dismisses my skills? Nothing to regret. Fueled by passion, I worked through the night, finally shutting the computer as dawn broke and crashed to sleep. When I awoke, my phone was flooded with messages. My editor was overjoyed. You finally submitted, yay. If you didn't this week, I was going to hound you at your place. I have severe procrastination, never submit until the last minute. Submitting early is unheard of. I shrugged it off, can't help it, inspiration hit, had to draw. Thanks to Tom, really. Otherwise, I wouldn't have drawn like a maniac all night, fueled by angst. The editor continued, by the way, the book signing event for Fish Silent is set for the 12th next month at the bookstore. Are you good with that? Fish Silent was my first hit comic, only concluded 3 months ago. It'll be my first formal signing event. No problem. After handling work, I finally got out of bed, planning to cook for my darling son. Ken, the sun's up. Time to wake up, I said, ready to pull him out of bed. No more lazing. Suddenly, my heart dropped. My darling son lay there, eyes closed, face red. I touched his forehead, it was burning. Took his temperature, 39.4. I forgot everything else, quickly dressing him and called a cab to the hospital. On the way, I held him tightly, heart pounding. Desperately urging the cabbie to hurry while internally blaming myself for being so careless. Too wrapped up in work last night, and now he's this sick. At the hospital, it was packed, especially pediatrics, with cries everywhere. Struggling through the crowd, I was sweating buckets, panicked. Molly? A familiar voice called. I looked up, and there was Tom. Wearing a lab coat, making him appear even more poised and elegant. I was dazed for a second. I've actually seen Tom wearing a white lab coat plenty of times, but back then he was just a med student. It was an 8-year program combining undergrad and graduate studies. By the time we parted ways, he hadn't even graduated and was still a bit green. But now... Doctor, what's up? There were a few people with him, and one of the young nurses glanced at me with a smile in her eyes behind her mask. Is she a friend? Tom said, you all go ahead. I'll catch up. Then he walked straight over to me. What's going on? Is your child sick? He asked. His voice was still cool and calm, like him, always distant and untouchable, like the bright moon hanging in the sky. I snapped back to reality and quickly said, when I checked this morning, I realized he had a fever. I was careless and didn't even know when it started. The little guy in my arms was still burning up. Tom felt his forehead. Have you registered yet? I shook my head. There were too many people in line, and holding my child made it even more inconvenient. Give me the kid, and you go get registered, he said. I hesitated, and he had already taken the kid. Seeing my confusion, he thought I was worried. He looked at me, his voice softer and more reassuring. There's a bad flu going around. He might have caught it, but don't worry. For some reason, his words calmed down the panic in my heart. It felt like with him here, there was nothing to worry about. With him helping, it was a huge relief. We got registered and saw the doctor smoothly. Turns out, he did catch the flu. When I got back with the meds, I saw Tom sitting with him as he got in for. I breathed a sigh of relief and thankfully said, "Thank you for today." Tom looked at me, his brows furrowed slightly with what seemed like restrained anger in his voice. "Is it just you worrying about the kid's sickness? His dad doesn't care?" My heart skipped a beat. Before I could say anything, my boy spoke up, "My dad's on a business trip." I cleared my throat. "Yeah, he's busy and can't make it." Tom pressed his lips, seeming to realize he shouldn't have asked. "I'll head back to work," he said. He didn't push further and left without looking back. I sat next to my boy, checking his forehead. "Still feeling bad?" He nodded, then shook his head, but glanced in the direction Tom had walked away. "Mom, can that uncle be my dad?" "No," I said. "That uncle already has his own kids. How could he be your dad?" My boy lowered his head, swinging his little legs, mumbling, "But if he was around, you wouldn't be so tired, Mom." My chest tightened, a mix of sour and bitter feelings. I could only pat him gently. "Don't think like that. He's someone else's now." The flu hit hard, and I took 3 days off for my boy. I heard many kids at his preschool were also sick. About half didn't go to class. When he finally got better, I caught it, too. I had to drag my dizzy self to the hospital for medicine. I unexpectedly ran into Lucy and her mom in the hallway. The little girl seemed to have the flu, too, looking weak and sluggish. But she still greeted me when she saw me. "Hi, Auntie." Her mom paused from fixing her clothes, quickly figuring out who I was and smiled. "You're Ken's mom, right?" "I'm Lucy's mom. She really loved that water bottle you gave her before." She had a gentle and pretty face, her smile playfully charming. Lucy had her mom's eyes, looking just like her, a spitting image. Feeling a bit at a loss, I replied, "Hello." Lucy curiously asked, "Auntie, is Ken feeling better?" I smiled, "Yes, he's almost completely recovered. He can go back to school next Monday." "How about you?" Lucy's mom replied, "Her fever isn't too bad. As long as it doesn't come back, she'll be fine in a couple of days." I nodded. They seemed to have finished their appointment, so after we chatted for a bit, they left. Watching them walk away, a thought hit me belatedly. Where's Tom? His wife and kid are here, but he's nowhere in sight. Just then, a woman's soft voice came from behind me. "Doctor, you've been in surgery all day and haven't eaten lunch. I brought some homemade food, do you want some?" I turned around in disbelief and saw Tom. He seemed to just have finished surgery. The woman talking was the same nurse from the other day, the one who asked if I was his friend. She hadn't changed out of her scrubs yet, her long hair curled, figure slender, her eyes seemed to hook when she spoke. I gaped. "Tom, how could you be such a jerk? Your wife's here with a sick kid, and you're flirting with a nurse." Suddenly, Tom sensed I was staring and looked over. "No, thanks," he said, leaving her to head my way. "Why are you back at the hospital?" Seeing I was alone, his brows furrowed slightly. "Are you sick?" Not in the mood for pleasantries, I shot back sarcastically. "I'm doing better than moms handling sick kids alone." Tom looked at me, puzzled. I glanced at the nurse who was watching us and raised my voice. "I ran into Lucy and her mom just now." Tom was surprised. "You talked to them?" I just smiled. "Yeah, but just a bit of chit-chat. Not everyone's great at having deep conversations with anyone." He seemed to pause. "You misunderstood." I snorted. "Misunderstood? I can see perfectly fine. I saw with my own eyes her bringing the kid here, and a nurse cozying up to you. No wonder people always say med students have 3 wives in their lifetime: college classmates, hospital colleagues, and students under them." "Stop," Tom interrupted impatiently. "Where did you hear that nonsense?" "Who needs to hear it? I've seen it myself." Tom looked at me for a moment and then suddenly smiled knowingly. "I know. It's not the first time this has happened to me." My face got hot all of a sudden. I remember when I started pursuing him, I would accidentally bump into him in the cafeteria. Later, I even insisted on cooking meals for him. The first time I made eggplant, it was burnt beyond recognition. Mortifying memories flooded back, leaving me awkward and fumbling. Tom. A nurse rushed over to call him. You should check on the patient in bed 8. Seems like they're not doing well. Tom's demeanor changed, and he said quietly, call me if anything comes up, my number's the same. And with that, he left swiftly. I watched him leave with mixed emotions, not quite sure how I felt at that moment. Whatever. It's not like we're anything to each other, right? The doctor wanted me to get some blood work done. Meanwhile, 2 nurses were whispering about something. Did you see? Lily brought lunch for Dr. Jiang again and got turned down. Hasn't this happened multiple times? I mean, Lily's got a great background, education, and she's pretty. Plus, she really likes him, yet he's not interested at all. I was taken aback and couldn't help but ask, are you talking about Tom? One nurse nodded, yeah. Do you know him? I hesitated, sort of. So you said there's someone after him? The other nurse laughed knowingly, what? You interested in Tom too? I quickly denied, no, not at all. Oh, come on, no need to be shy. She laughed. Since Tom came to our hospital, he's had tons of admirers. Yet, he hasn't shown interest in anyone. I was shocked. He's hard to figure out. Young folks these days are different from us. He doesn't want to get married and he doesn't have a girlfriend. All he does is work. No one can change his mind. I left the hospital still in a daze. Tom's not married. How is that possible? I've seen him pick up a child from kindergarten. When I got home, my son ran up to me, Mommy. I picked him up and looked around. What's up, buddy? He looked confused. Mommy, what's wrong? I tried probing, nothing, just saw Lucy and her mom at the hospital today. His eyes lit up. She was at the hospital too. Is she sick? I gave him a sideways glance. Oh, so worried about Lucy, huh? She'll be fine soon. You'll see her next Monday when school starts. He relaxed. She must feel terrible being sick. I teased, don't worry, her parents will take care of her. He shook his head, but Lucy said her dad's sick too. A suspicion crept into my mind, but I couldn't quite believe it. Her dad's sick. Yep. So Tom's been picking her up. But Lucy whispered to me that she thinks her uncle is way cooler than her dad, so she likes it when he comes. My mind went blank. So she's not Tom's daughter? He's not even married, and doesn't have kids. Have I been misunderstanding everything this whole time? You should just ask him. Candy was frustrated with me. Why guess and agonize over it? I refused. It's not appropriate. What would I even ask? We're nothing to each other anymore. Candy was honest, you're his ex. Thanks for that, I snapped. She wouldn't give up, asking won't kill you. Yes, it will. From embarrassment. Look, I'm not going, and that's final. I was firm. You're my best friend, stand by me. That's why I'm urging you to ask. Candy sighed, Molly, you still like him. I was speechless. She continued, he's single now, why not give it a shot again? I was quiet for a while. Candy, I have Ken. Monday, when I picked up my kid, I saw Tom again. He saw me too. Didn't get to ask last time at the hospital, how's your health? He sounded so casual, like any doctor checking on a patient. Just the flu. No big deal, I said. He nodded and turned back to look at the kindergarten, probably waiting for a kid to come out. I used to think doctors were really busy, I blurted, but seeing you picking up kids every day, I guess I was wrong. Especially since it's not even your kid. There was an awkward silence before he calmly explained, Lucy isn't just any kid. She's my cousin's daughter. My cousin had a car accident and got a fracture. Her mom's busy with work and asked me to help out. Wait, that's your explanation? I stared at him with wide eyes. He seemed to know what I was thinking and raised an eyebrow. "I don't recall ever saying she was my daughter," he said calmly. I was stumped. He really never did say it. In the beginning, I jumped to conclusions without asking and assumed he was Lucy's dad. "When I mentioned Lucy didn't look much like you, why didn't you deny it?" "She's not my daughter, so it's pretty normal she doesn't look like me, right?" Tom didn't seem to think he did anything wrong. "Besides, I said she looks like her mom." That was so flawless, it's impossible to find fault with it. I didn't want to engage with him further and just folded my arms, glaring at the entrance of the kindergarten, waiting to leave as soon as my son came out. Then Tom suddenly brought up something else, as if unintentionally. "I heard Lucy say Ken is turning 5 next Wednesday." My heart skipped a beat, nearly leaping out of my chest. Tom's gaze on me was intense, almost oppressive, revealing everything. "So, he was born in November 5 years ago. We broke up that December, and we saw each other that September." "Molly, did you say this son of yours dropped from the sky?" My heart raced like a drum. I managed to act calm. "None of your business." Tom didn't seem willing to stop there. "Lucy said Ken told her in secret that his dad went on a business trip right after he was born, so he's never actually seen his dad. All these years, he's been growing up with just you by his side." His tone was calm and certain. "Molly, Ken isn't your son." I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. "Are you done?" Tom didn't reply. I didn't look at him, and spoke indifferently. "Tom, you're always smart, but none of this is any of your concern. We broke up 5 years ago. You have your life, I have mine. We live separately now, isn't that fine?" I initiated the breakup because I got tired. I graduated and started working, while Tom continued with his studies. After being in a long-distance relationship for 6 months, I told him I was bored with it and broke up with him. In the following 5 years, we hadn't contacted each other. When we met again, I knew he would eventually figure it out. But so what? "Tom," I calmly said, "you're a great guy. There are plenty of people who like you. You could easily have a happy life with any of them. Why waste time on someone heartless like me?" Yesterday, I asked Lucy's mom. Lucy's dad wasn't seriously hurt and was already discharged and could come pick up the kids. But Tom was here today. I'm not naive. "But Tom, it's impossible between us," I said. After that day, Tom never showed up at the kindergarten again. I felt relieved, but also a bit empty inside. Having dinner with Candy, she listened to my story, stayed quiet for a while, then gave me a thumbs up. "No one can say no to a guy like Tom, and you turned him down twice, Molly, that's impressive." I didn't bother with her teasing and focused on my food. When you know something is hopeless, you've got to make it clear early on to not waste anyone's time, right? "I have a book signing at the book mall tomorrow. Can you pick up Ken for me?" Candy clicked her tongue. "Who would have thought your comic would be this big?" "No worries, I'm honored to help and won't let you down." I genuinely praised her. "Gotta say, a few years of working made you pretty good at compliments." Candy was humble. "You flatter me." "I really just..." "Huh." Suddenly, she paused, pointed in a direction, and whispered, "Hey, Molly, isn't that Tom over there?" "Huh." I turned around and saw a man and a woman walk in. The man was Tom. The woman looked to be in her 20s, gentle and pretty. Following a waiter, they walked further inside. Tom suddenly turned his head toward us. I quickly lowered mine. Candy also turned her face away, covering her face with one hand, and whispered, "Is that really him?" "Who's the woman with him then?" I whispered back, "How would I know?" Candy seemed confused. "If you don't know, why are you so nervous?" I gave her a death glare. Yet Candy wasn't fazed and sneaked another glance their way. "I gotta say, this guy looks even more handsome than a few years back, for real." "Shut up." As if I'm not feeling bad enough already. Luckily, Tom didn't notice us and soon turned his gaze away, sitting behind a partition. As long as he doesn't turn around to look closely, he shouldn't spot us. I forced myself to look away and urged Candy, eat up so we can leave. Candy wouldn't budge. What's the rush? I'm eavesdropping. I kept eating, but my ears perked up despite myself. We could barely hear Tom's conversation with the woman. They introduced themselves briefly. A blind date or something. I poked the head of the dessert bunny with my fork and thought to myself, Tom, a top-notch catch in the dating scene. Such a great guy, you probably have lots of girls who like you, right? The woman asked cautiously. Tom paused, not really. There's one girl who really dislikes me. The woman seemed shocked, really? Who? She must be blind. Tom's tone was flat, the one I like. Mid-gossip and suddenly being referenced myself, awkward vibes. The woman seemed taken aback, took a few seconds, then awkwardly asked. How could that be? Why doesn't she like you? Tom seemed to chuckle, maybe I'm just not good enough to win her over. I couldn't listen any longer and quickly got up to pay and leave. Candy huffed, catching up with me, why are you leaving? Me, suddenly remembered there's prep left for tomorrow's signing, need to hurry back. Candy, your excuse-making skills are top-notch as always. I went home, but I just couldn't fall asleep. Tom's words kept replaying in my head. My little one noticed me tossing and turning. He leaned over and asked softly, Mom, are your legs hurting again? I kissed his cheek. No, honey. Mom is probably going to be busy tomorrow. Candy will pick you up and you have to be good, okay? He happily gave me a kiss. Okay. The book signing was scheduled for 10:30 in the morning. The venue was filled with massive comic banners and displays of the Yubuyu series. Loads of fans showed up early, forming a long line. I felt a hint of excitement. I had imagined there were many who liked my comics. But seeing so many people come just for me felt surreal. I started drawing comics just for fun, never expecting it to become my job, let alone having so many fans. The host kicked things off, and once the crowd was pumped, I was led up by the staff. Most of the crowd was female, and their cheers rang out when they saw me. Oh my God. Ah. She's real, she's real. No way. The teacher is this pretty? That long dress is gorgeous. I'm amazed. How can someone be so talented and also so good-looking? Teacher. I've liked you for so long, boo-hoo. I smiled and greeted everyone, then sat down to start signing. Time flew by, and I had a quick lunch. There was another interview at 3 p.m. The venue remained packed with fans. When it was all over, it was already past 4 p.m. I bowed and said goodbye. Many fans were reluctant to leave, and some wanted photos with me. The staff tried to stop them, but I shook my head. They came from so far away. It's okay to take a picture. I didn't expect there'd be so many. Amidst the noise, I lost balance and fell to the ground. Pain surged through, and I panicked, instinctively reaching for my dress. Someone nearby seemed shocked, gasping softly, "Ah." My heart jumped, and I turned to see that beneath my long dress, the lower half of my prosthetic right leg was exposed to countless cameras. The signing ended in a hectic rush. The staff took me to the hospital, and my editor kept apologizing. I'm so sorry. We failed in our duties. We didn't take good care of you. I wasn't angry, nor did I blame anyone. It's okay. It's my own fault for not being careful. I just might need some help later. In front of so many fans and media, there was no suppressing this incident. Some videos and photos were already uploaded on short video platforms. I just took a glance and closed it. Candy called in a panic. Molly. What happened over there? I reassured her, it's nothing, just a little accident. When I agreed to sign, I knew this could get out. It's not a big deal. By the way, is Ken with you? I've already picked him up. Which hospital are you at? I'll come right now. No. The hospital is crowded and chaotic. If he sees me like this, he'll be upset. Don't let him use his phone. Tell him I have some work to handle and I'll be home later. But what about you? I'll be fine. Candy eventually agreed to my suggestion. I had just hung up when a nurse appeared at the door of my hospital room. Hey, you're the author of that really popular comic, right? I looked up to see a somewhat familiar face. It was the nurse who was chasing Tom before. I tensed up. Was Tom working today? I hoped he wouldn't see this. But the next moment, I felt my concern might be unnecessary. This was already blowing up online, and Tom would eventually find out. What was there to hide? I nodded, "Hi." Her face lit up with a delighted smile. "Wow. It's really you. I love your comics." Her voice paused, her gaze landing on my right leg, filled with sympathy. "I really didn't expect this. What a shame. But don't worry. We love your art and won't think differently because of this. Plus, you're so strong. So inspiring." Her words sounded like praise but oddly made me uncomfortable. I've never used this as a selling point. Aside from not being able to run freely, my life isn't much different from anyone else's. I support myself and raise my little one just fine. I don't feel different from others. But her words kept reminding me of that difference. She came over and was about to lift my skirt. "Let me help with your wound?" I instinctively moved away, about to say no, when a voice sounded from the doorway. "Lily, the head nurse is looking for you." Hearing that voice, I froze, my back tensing. The young nurse looked up in surprise. "Huh?" Tom walked in and took the meds from her hands, his voice calm. "I've got this." The young nurse glanced between us, not moving, forcing a smile. "This wound is quick for me to handle. It won't take long, and it's our job." "Tom, you're so busy." "I'm off work." Tom interrupted her. "This is my personal time." Silence. Tom didn't seem to realize anything odd and crouched down in front of me, his fingers touching the hem of my skirt. Without looking up, he said, "Close the door on your way out." The young nurse reluctantly left, and the room grew silent, the air almost freezing. Tom seemed ready to lift my skirt. I panicked and instinctively held his hand. A moment later, as if burnt, I withdrew. "Better get a nurse." Tom said, "They're all busy. You just sent one away." I suppressed my swirling emotions and turned away. "Fine, you do it." He's always been stubborn. When he sets his mind on something, nobody can stop him. Just 10 minutes ago, I was worried about him seeing me like this. But now, seeing him stubbornly squatting in front of me, refusing to move, a new thought popped into my head. Go ahead. See everything, know everything, and maybe we can finally wrap this up. My right leg was amputated below the knee, and I've been wearing a prosthetic for years. I bet once he sees the ugly scar, he won't have any thoughts left. Maybe that's for the best. Maybe that's for the best. I let go. Tom paused for a moment, then finally reached out to roll up my skirt. I looked away. Today was jam-packed, and with all the walking, my scar was already pretty aggravated. Plus, after falling during a group photo, I didn't even need to look to know it must be even worse. Tom's breathing was so quiet, it was like it disappeared. But maybe it was just my imagination because the next second, his cool hand fell on my leg. He tended to my wound, bit by bit, like he was using all his patience. I couldn't help but turn my head. He was crouched in front of me, with his black hair hanging down, hiding his eyes. I couldn't make out his expression. Only the straight, tight line of his lips showed a bit of emotion, not as calm as he seemed. He was mad. Even though he didn't say a word, even though his actions were gentle and careful, I just knew he was mad. Like a volcano that's ready to erupt, and it's just a matter of time before it spills over, unstoppable. I couldn't stand this tension anymore, so I spoke up. I remember you mostly work in cardiology. you probably don't see this kind of patient often, huh? Tom didn't say anything. I gently shook my other leg, feeling nostalgic. I remember I used to joke with you about how you spent most of your time in class and at the hospital, not having much time for me. Back then, I thought, do I have to be sick to see you? Didn't expect the first time you treat me would be like this. We've got quite the fate, don't we? When did it happen? Tom suddenly interrupted, lifting his eyes to ask. His long black eyes were calm, and his tone didn't change, like it was just a regular checkup. It's been a few years, I think. I said, motioning for him to bring my prosthetic. I can do it myself. But he didn't move. His jaw was tight, and the veins on the back of his hand popped out. He swallowed, his voice a bit rough, each word landing heavy on my heart. Was it 5 years ago when we broke up? I can't remember. I shook my head. Tom didn't buy it, quietly asking back, can't remember? My heart skipped a beat. He seemed to chuckle, but there was no humor in his eyes. Molly, no matter how bad one's memory is, can they forget their own pain? My temples throbbed, a faint ache. He spoke haltingly, didn't it hurt? I looked away. Outside it was already evening, the sun dipping below the horizon, the sky turning a somber shade of dusk. The surgery was quite successful, and I've recovered well. I shook my head, it's not that painful. He stayed silent. I hesitated, then gently urged, Ken's waiting at home, I should get going. Tom wouldn't let me do it myself. He insisted on helping me put on my prosthetic. Thanks. I said, waving, so I'll head out now. Tom handed me his phone. Let me navigate, I'll take you. In the end, I couldn't refuse Tom. He's got a tough temperament, and my leg wasn't in great shape today. I picked up my kid from Candy's place, and as soon as he saw me, he wanted to rush over, but then spotted Tom in the car and widened his eyes. Uncle, how come you're taking my mom home? Tom rarely showed a gentle and patient side, explaining, Uncle had something to do and just thought I'd give your mom a ride. Oh, I see. My kid's eyes darted around, but he wouldn't get in the car anymore. Mom, maybe I'll stay at Aunt Candy's place tonight? I gave him a puzzled look, and he frantically winked at me, leaning in to whisper. Come on, Mom. Give it a go. Make sure Uncle Jiang becomes my dad soon. Feeling conflicted. Good news, my kid is smart, figured everything out a while ago. Bad news, he's too smart, already trying to find himself a dad. I hauled him into the car, cut it out with those wild ideas of yours. The kid looked a bit let down, seemed like he wanted to say more, but my glare shut him up. We finally made it home without a hitch. I got out with my kid, and thanked Tom once more. Thanks for the help today. Tom looked over quietly and just said, no problem. I grabbed my kid and made a hasty exit. Candy was blowing up my phone with messages. Holy crap. Was that Tom dropping you off? Does he know? What do you think? I sighed and checked online. The buzz around me hadn't died down yet. Popular comic artist turns out to be disabled. Now that's a catchy headline. The publisher was trying to keep things under wraps, but the gossip spreads fast. Candy was momentarily stunned. So, what about you and him? It's good if he knows. It saves me from having false hopes. Candy went silent for a while, but Molly, have you even asked Tom if he wants to stay with you? How could I ask that? Ask him if he wants to be with someone who might hold him back? I chuckled. It took me a long time to accept this about myself, let alone Tom. After a long pause, Candy sighed and said softly. Molly, I really think Tom is different when it comes to you. He's really great, and if you let this chance slip, there might not be another one. I know, which is exactly why. He is so good that I can't be the flaw in his life. I can't bear it. I thought after that day, Tom and I wouldn't cross paths again. But to my surprise, he showed up outside my place the next morning. We have a specialist at the hospital. I've booked an appointment for you, he said the moment he saw me. I was stunned. But there's nothing wrong with me. I've been doing rehab as per the doctor's orders. Yesterday was just a fluke. Tom opened the car door, looking like he wouldn't leave unless I got in. Since I had to drop my kid at preschool, I had no choice but to get in his car. The specialist Tom arranged was impressive, offering plenty of advice and suggesting a better prosthetic for me. I was happy, though that feeling would have been greater without Tom there. Afterward, I couldn't help but grumble quietly. I told you, situations like this are common. But Tom seemed oblivious. Make sure to rest, and follow the exercise and rehab as told by the doctor. He was serious, having listened carefully to everything the specialist said. I started to say something, but Tom insisted, and from now on, if there's anything inconvenient, call me. Tom. I couldn't hold it in any longer. You really don't need to do this. I know my own body, and haven't I been doing fine these past years? You don't have to. I'm getting your medication. Tom cut me off and left. I sat in the corridor waiting obediently. He took longer than expected, and curiosity got the better of me, so I headed towards the pharmacy. Rounding the corner, I heard a somewhat agitated female voice. Tom, why are you doing this? I froze, stopping in my tracks. It was Lily's voice. Tom's voice was cold. If there's nothing else, I'm leaving. She's waiting for me. Lily seemed agitated, raising her voice sharply. But she's crippled. Tom. Do you know what that means? She's not good enough for you. Tom's voice turned icy cold, colder than I'd ever heard. You'd better not let me hear that again. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude. Lily fell silent. Footsteps approached. Tom was coming back. Behind him, I heard Lily's quiet sobbing. Tom came closer, almost spotting me, so I hastily turned to hide. But before I could move, he rounded the corner and saw me. Our eyes met. He paused for a second before walking over briskly. Didn't I say to wait patiently for me? I glanced behind him. Looks like she was crying. Tom's brows were still furrowed with coldness. I gently tugged at his sleeve. Actually, she was just being honest. I've heard plenty of such remarks over the years and endured countless stares. I'm used to it. Tom gazed at me deeply. You're soft on others but have a hard heart when it comes to me. I was speechless, completely silenced by his retort. Honestly, this guy doesn't talk much, but every word strikes a chord. I'm not even sure what I've done wrong, but something about his words made me feel guilty. I resigned myself to staying quiet, letting Tom take the lead. Taking a step back, then another. Tom began to frequently show up in my life, taking me to hospital appointments, and picking my kid up from school. It all felt so natural, as if those years in between hadn't existed. But I knew it couldn't go on. The longer it lasted, the more I'd crave everything he gave. Seeing him downstairs again, I refused to get in the car, face blank. Tom, it stops here. Tom ignored me, replying flatly, it's Ken's birthday today. We'll be late, the cake shop will close soon. I'd been preoccupied with thanking fans and sorting the new prosthetic, completely forgetting about it. In the end, I once again surrendered and got in the car. Fine. Once the kid's birthday's over, I'll have a serious talk with Tom. The birthday was everything my child could have wished for. He even insisted on taking a photo with me and Tom. I want to show Lucy tomorrow. Alright, at least he thinks of Lucy at times like these. I took a glance at the photo but quickly turned away, looking at Tom. It's late. You should head back too. Want a ride? Tom understood, and we headed out together. The elevator ride was eerily silent. As we stepped outside, the chilly autumn wind finally gave me the courage to speak up. Tom, thank you for everything, but after tomorrow, let's not stay in touch anymore. Tom didn't respond to me directly but asked, when are you planning to take Ken to see his dad's parents? My heart felt a painful squeeze, bitter and heavy. So he did know after all. Ken is my brother's kid. 5 years ago in December, my brother and his wife were bringing newborn Ken back for a full month celebration. They got into a car accident on the way. I was in the car too. My sister-in-law died immediately trying to protect Ken. My brother was badly injured and didn't make it at the hospital. I lost my right leg in that crash. When I woke up from surgery, I took one look at my wound and texted Tom to break up. He couldn't reach me all night. My phone was full of missed calls and texts from him. I didn't read a single one. I was scared that if I did, I wouldn't go through with it. So, I blocked and deleted him. Later on, I found out he caught a flight that night, traveling over 1,000 kilometers to my city. He waited a whole day and night at the bottom of my apartment. At that time, I had just received my brother's death certificate. I remember it snowed heavily that day, and the cold in the morgue made me shiver. I could barely sign my name. My brother was lying there, and I didn't even have the strength to cry. My parents were devastated and passed away in the following years. In the end, it was just me and Ken left. I became his mom. I took him away from that city filled with painful memories, hoping to start fresh. I honestly never expected to run into Tom again. Tom lit a cigarette, listening quietly as I talked about the past. He didn't smoke it, just let it burn in his fingers until it was ash, blown away by the wind. He bowed his head slightly. It wasn't until the flame touched his hand that he came back to himself. He put out the cigarette and looked up at me. You said the surgery went well and you recovered fine, so it didn't really hurt. I was stunned. In the dark night breeze, he curved his lips into a slight smile, but there seemed to be a storm hiding in his eyes. He said softly, "But Molly, it hurt me." A dull pain struck my chest, and my eyes welled up. For some reason, going through all of that, I was always calm, feeling that I was strong and independent. But at that moment, when Tom said that, I just suddenly felt so sad. I wasn't sure why, but I felt overwhelmed by a sense of grievance. After a while, I opened my mouth but didn't know what to say. "I'm sorry. I didn't have time to explain back then. This apology is late, but Tom, I'm really sorry." At the time, I thought breaking up, not dragging him down, was the best choice. But I didn't consider what Tom, who knew nothing, endured alone in that cold, snowy night. Tom closed his eyes. "So many years, Molly, do you think one sentence is enough to cover it all?" I felt lost, not grasping what he meant. "Then what do you need me to do?" Tom was silent for so long, I almost thought he wouldn't speak again when he finally opened his mouth. His voice was a bit hoarse, carrying a slight weariness, yet every word was clear. "Molly, I'm almost 30. All these years, I've tried to forget you, tried to like someone else, tried to be with girls completely different from you, but I can't. From 18 to now, breaking up and getting back together time and again, it's been 10 years. I don't want to delay any longer. Will you marry me, or not?" I slowly widened my eyes, almost thinking I misheard. "What did you say?" Tom took a few steps forward, his tall figure instantly surrounding me. "Molly, you still like me, don't you?" I couldn't say a word. Because I couldn't lie to his face. Molly does still like Tom, very much, very much. But... Before I could finish, he suddenly leaned down and kissed me. His passionate breath enveloped me completely. I couldn't help but clutch onto his shirt, my fingertips tingling. It wasn't until my legs were too weak to stand that he held my waist tightly, pulling me into his arms. "Molly, I'm forgiving you this time. Now, I'm giving you one more chance." His voice was taut and gravelly. "Promise, be with Tom, when you face trouble, he's the first you go to. When you're sad or hurt, lean on him. Hand off all your problems to him, let him protect you and Ken. Can you do that? Some people are enough simply standing there." My heart trembled as I leaned against him, too scared to lift my head. "But Tom, this me, is that really okay?" He held my face, forcing me to meet his gaze. "Molly, you're always perfect to me." His palms were warm, but they couldn't compare to the burning love in his eyes. This time, do you want to keep loving him? I stood on tiptoe and kissed the corner of his lips. Tom, Molly has always only loved you. The love never stopped. So every time we meet, I'll run to you with everything I've got.